Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Molly Mayer, and I lead the Early Adopter Scheme here at the Department for Education. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us and to join this afternoon. We really appreciate you taking the time and all of the effort that you've put in so far to making the Early Adopter Scheme a success. We've had an absolutely wonderful first half of the term. And we're really grateful to everyone on the call today for your contribution to that, because we know how much effort and work you've put into it already. So this webinar is about the data collection and how to report take-up data at your breakfast club. So it's essential that you complete the data collection, not only so that we can pay your school for the pupils that attend your club, but also so that we have the essential data to support the scheme and have an accurate understanding of the scheme's delivery challenges ahead of national rollout. So if we go to our next slide, please. On our agenda today is to start with a summary of the data collection, talking through what you need to do, which pupils to include, and how the information will be used to calculate your funding. Then we're going to watch a demonstration and do a walkthrough of the data collection forms. And then we'll end with time for questions. Throughout the webinar, please submit any questions that you have through the Q&A function. We're going to do our best to answer them all, but we will start with the most upvoted questions. So if anyone asks a question that you also want to know the answer to, please upvote it. And before we get going, please note that this session is being recorded and will be shared around afterwards, but only those who are presenting on the screen will be recorded, so you will not be visible on the recording, nor will any questions that you submit. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide and start talking about what is the data collection. Great. So the take-up data collection is your time to report how many and which pupils attend your free breakfast club. So how it works is that starting on Monday, 9th of June, so this coming Monday, you will record how many and which pupils attend your free breakfast club each day until the rest of the week. So this means recording who attends on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if a child attends all 5 days, make sure you record them each day. We know that for some of you, the week of June 9th will not be representative of your typical week because of things like year 6 residentials, for example. If this is the case and you haven't already informed us, you must let us know by the end of tomorrow if you need a different reporting week. And this is for fairness for other schools so that schools can't retrospectively report the best week for them. Once you've recorded how many pupils and which pupils, you'll need to report this to us. So how that works is from June 16th to July 4th, we will open and send you the links to 2 forms to complete. The first form is a form that will ask you about the number of pupils attending the club each day that week, along with questions on compliance with the grant conditions. And the second is a secure form where you will upload a spreadsheet containing the unique pupil numbers for those who attended your club each day. We shared the spreadsheet template yesterday, but we'll also post it in the chat now. We'll also be sending it again next week, and you will be able to download it through the forums as well, which I will show you shortly. So we're going to walk through the 2-step process in more detail shortly. But before we do that, we'll go to the next slide and talk about which pupils to record. So in terms of who you should be recording each day, remember that the early adopter scheme is open to reception to year 6 pupils. If you open your club to nursery age pupils and older pupils, do not record these pupils. Only record pupils in reception to year 6 who attend the free breakfast club. Also remember that the minimum requirements of the club stipulate that it must provide 30 minutes free childcare immediately before the start of the school day. With the aims of the universally accessible free club are not only to provide pupils with a breakfast ahead of the school day, but to provide pupils with a soft start to the day and reduce the financial burden on parents and carers. So we know there's a lot of questions about what happens if a pupil arrives late, and we're not going to get into the difference between arriving 2 minutes late versus 3 minutes late because we know that the delivery model will vary, and it's up to you as a school to determine how to run and manage your time and your club. Therefore, you should only record the pupils whom you judge to have arrived in time to benefit from an earlier start to the school day. And pupils accessing food only, so for example, a grab and go model, should not be recorded in your data. Finally, if you run a paid for club before the 30 minutes free club, you do not need to report these pupils who attend separately. It's just the pupils that are there for your free 30-minute club who are in reception to year 6. Now, if we go to the next slide on how this data will be used to calculate funding. Now, this is the question I'm sure is the top of mind for everyone. So how will we use your data to calculate the funding your school will receive? So as you know, your school will be paid in arrears for the pupils that attend your club. We will take the data you report to us on how many and which pupils attended each day during the week of June 9th and average this out across the week and use the daily average to calculate your payment for summer term. So for example, say a school reports their daily numbers and it averages out to 83 pupils per day. We will assume this is reflective across the whole term and pay you each day of the term based on those 83 pupils attending. And make sure once you do know the number of pupils that have attended on average each day next week, you can put that number into your ready reckoner that we've shared before to calculate how much funding you will get, because this is based on the number of pupils that attend as well as the proportion of pupils eligible for free school meals at your school. Important thing to remember is that this data return is for summer term only. We will ask you to do a similar exercise in autumn and spring terms so that we can calculate your termly payments. This means if uptake at your club increases over the year, so maybe this term you have about 50 pupils on average coming each day, but in autumn you have 80 pupils on average coming each day, and over that day of collection week, your autumn payment will be based on that higher take-up figure. So the final thing we're going to run through before we go on to the step-by-step walk through the data collections is, next slide is, how is this data collection different from the other ones you've done? So we want just to quickly touch base on this and how this differs from what you've already done, the feedback we've requested from you. We're really mindful that we've asked you for a lot and are very appreciative of all the information that you have provided to us so far. It's so important to us to gather as much feedback as we possibly can and insights from you so that we can address challenges, see what's working well, what's not working so well, and improve the scheme. And everything you've given us so far through the various surveys, as well as attending your peer-to-peer networks, is so helpful for that. To summarize, the take-up data collection is what we're going to use to pay you for your breakfast clubs and will allow us to understand which pupils are attending so we can assess impacts. We have also sent out 2 pulse surveys so far, including one yesterday, and this is our way to really quickly check delivery, see how it's going, and see if you need any extra support. If you haven't already, please do complete the one sent out yesterday. And then finally, hopefully all of you completed the evaluation survey shared a few weeks ago. This survey has more in-depth questions about the design, implementation, and outcomes of the early adopter scheme. So how are you running it in practice? And there will be one more of these before March 2026 to ask about perceived impacts of the club. So we are now going to watch a demonstration from one of my colleagues about step 1 of the data collection. So just to remind everybody, there are 2 steps. Step 1 is to report the daily take-up numbers of your free Universal Breakfast Club for the week of June 9th, and grant monitoring information by completing the grant monitoring form, which we'll watch a video on in one moment. And then step 2 is to report the individual pupils attending your free Universal Club each day during the week of June 9th by populating a template spreadsheet with the unique pupil numbers for each pupil and uploading it. And both forms will be open from June 16th to July 4th. So now we will watch, we're going to watch the demo of how to complete the grant reporting form.
Data return during the reporting week. So we're asking schools to submit this form, which contains the number of pupils who attended your free breakfast club across week commencing the 9th of June, unless you've got an agreed different week to report for, as well as answering some questions relating to compliance with the grant conditions. So you'll be sent a link which will take you to this page where you can read through some of the requirements for the form. So it'll outline some information about what we do with your data and why we're collecting it. To complete this return, you will need to know the start date of both your summer term 2025 and the start date of your early adopter free breakfast club, if those two dates are different. How many pupils attended your breakfast clubs each day during the reporting week? Of the pupils who attended, how many had been eligible for free school meals in the last 6 years? Of those who attended, how many pupils have special educational needs and disabilities or are eligible for an education, health and care plan? If you operate a booking system, how many pupils had planned to attend your breakfast club each day that week? And there'll be some questions in there to ensure the breakfast club is compliant with the grant conditions. So we'll be asking questions about meeting the school food standards, the duration of your club, if parents have to pay for an extended period, and if you use a private, voluntary or independent childcare provider to staff your club. So the form runs on a DFE sign-in. Most of you will have one of these already. However, if you don't have one, there'll be some instructions on how you can set up an account through the guidance that we have sent you. However, I'm going to proceed on the basis that you already have a DFE sign-in account. So I'm going to press start now, which will begin the process. So firstly, you're going to want to enter the email address that is associated with your school. And of course, your password. If your email address is associated with a number of schools, you'll receive a list like this. However, if it's just associated with one, you won't have such a list. I'm going to be responding on behalf of this school. So you'll then be taken to this page where you can just double check the information is correct. So here I am reporting on behalf of a school for the RN, UKPRN, and a name and an email address. That's all correct, so I'm going to continue. So first question, what was the start date of your summer term 2025? So the 22nd of April was a popular start date for a lot of schools this year, so I'm going to proceed with that. You'll then be asked to report what date your early adopter breakfast club started. Most people started their breakfast clubs at the beginning of the summer term 2025. If you started a week or so later, then you can report that here. But I'm going to proceed on the basis that the breakfast club started as the same day as the summer term. You'll then be asked to report how many pupils attended each day for the week commencing the 9th of June. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. As I've said before, if you've got an arrangement with the department to report for a different week, please do feel free to just enter the numbers for that different week here. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to put that there are 50 pupils that attended each day. Continue. Next, you're going to be asked to report the number of pupils eligible for free school meals who attended your club during this week. By this, we mean pupils who have been eligible for free school meals in the last 6 years. So here, I'm just going to put 10. Save and continue. And the same question will be asked for children with SEND, so pupils who are either receiving SEND support or who have an education, health and care plan. Again, I'm going to put 10 here. Next up, we have a question. As far as you're aware, are there pupils with SEND who want to access your club but are unable to? For this one, I'm going to put this here. Next, you're going to be asked a question about how you ask pupils to confirm their attendance at your breakfast club. So some early adopter schools run booking systems, and some schools it is a requirement to book on to access. Some schools allow for pupils to also show up on the day as well as operating a booking system, and some schools don't operate a booking system at all. For the purposes of the demonstration, I'm going to answer that I do have a booking system. If you don't have a booking system, the next two questions will not be visible to you. So how far in advance do you close the booking system? I'm going to select 1 to 5 days before. And here I'm asked, what are the number of pupils who plan to attend the breakfast club? So that is how many pupils booked on to attend the breakfast club ahead of time. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to put 60 for each. Next, a straightforward question about your breakfast club food. So does your breakfast club food comply with school food standards? I'm going to put yes here. Next, do you use a PVI provider to live your breakfast club? So is your breakfast club staffed by either a private, a voluntary or an independent childcare provider? For the sake of the demonstration, I'm going to select that no, it doesn't. However, if it is, you'll be asked to confirm this and also confirm whether it is registered with Ofsted or not. So this question, we're asking about the duration of your breakfast club. So the minimum requirements for the Early Adopter Free Breakfast Club programme is that schools must offer 30 minutes free soft start ahead of the school day. However, we are aware that some schools offer extended offer, which parents can pay for. If you select that your breakfast club is longer than 30 minutes, you'll be asked a series of questions. If you don't, then you won't see the next couple of questions. So this question, do you charge parents and carers for pupils who stay at the club for more than 30 minutes? Options are yes, no, or other, in that the longer duration is supported by other funding. For this, I'm going to put that yes, this school does charge for a longer breakfast club. Now, this question is asking that because you charge for your prolonged breakfast club, does this mean that the cost has been reduced for parents since the introduction of the early adopter offer? I'm going to select that yes, we have reduced the charge to parents and carers. So then once you've completed those questions, you'll be taken to the declaration page. So you'll be asked to confirm that the organisation has not used any other government funding, such as wraparound funding, to fund the 30-minute breakfast club. That the details provided in the form relate only to the Breakfast Club Early Adopter Grant in accordance with the guidance and conditions published by DfE. That you have authority to submit this on behalf of your organisation, so the school in which you're responding on behalf of, and that the details that you've provided are correct to the best of your knowledge. So once you have submitted that, you'll be shown an overview of all of the answers that you have provided. We would encourage you to go through this and check that everything that you've put is accurate. If you notice that something is wrong, you can press the change button and that will take you back to the relevant part of the form so that you can make the changes. Once you're happy, you can save this summary as a PDF. We would advise that you do this so you've got your own record. By pressing Save PDF, you should then receive this pop-up, which will be downloaded to your computer. Just scroll down again and press Submit. And that is it. You'll be then taken to a submission complete page, and you'll also receive an email where you can download your answers in a PDF if you didn't do so earlier.
Okay, excellent. And apologies for the sound issue there at the beginning. Hopefully we didn't lose too many of you, and I think maybe some of you may have had issues at the start seeing the screen. We just to be aware that we have recorded everything, so you will be able to watch it back if you have any issues. But apologies about that. No more videos now, so we should be smoother sailing. If we go on to the next
Hello
slide.
everyone, today I'm going to be talking you through how to submit.
There we go. So we're going to talk about the second step, which is the pupil level data collection. So once you've done your grant reporting form, you will need to complete and upload the pupil level data collection. And we'll be sending both of these links to the forms out at the same time. When you complete your grant reporting form, you'll also get confirmation status of that, and that email will contain a link to the next form as well. That form is just being finalized. So unfortunately, we don't have a lovely demonstration video from my colleague Johnny. So you have to bear with me and my screenshots. But it's quite simple. So you're going to do the exact same thing that you did. Let's go back one more slide. You're going to do the exact same thing that you did with the other form. Log in using your DFE account. You'll then be taken to this page. Now here on this page, you can download the spreadsheet template where you can put in the UPNs. If you've already done this, because we sent it out yesterday, we also put it in the chat, we're going to send it out again, you do not have to download it again. It'll be the exact same form. So it's possible when you get to this stage to upload your form, you've already filled out your spreadsheet. That's perfectly fine. So now we can go to the next slide. So if you haven't though, you can download it. But then once you open up your spreadsheet, you'll go onto this first tab. There's instructions. Please make sure you read these instructions really carefully. And like I said, whether you complete the spreadsheet each day next week as the pupils are coming in, or you wait until the end of the week and fill it in, that's completely up to you and the systems that you use for monitoring pupil attendance. So for example, I think some of your management information systems allow you to export the UPNs of children that attend each day in one go, and you might choose to do that at the end of the week. But if it's easier for you to fill this out each day next week, absolutely do that. So when you open it up, you'll see this page. Make sure you save a hard copy of the spreadsheet to your computer where you would normally save files. So make sure you hit save and you read these instructions on the first tab. If we go to the next slide, if you click onto the second tab of the spreadsheet, you're going to see this very basic format. There are columns to enter the UPNs, unique pupil numbers, of each pupil that attended each day. Make sure you just enter one UPN per row, and it's just the unique pupil number. No names, no date of birth, anything like that. If you try to enter anything that's not a UPN, it won't let you. So please enter the UPNs. If you're unsure where to get the UPNs of your pupils, we have included further guidance on locating pupil UPNs in our big detailed data collection guidance document. So you can see more information from the department there. Once the spreadsheet is complete, you can save it and return back to the original sign-in page. So we'll go to the next screen. Exactly. And if you select choose file to upload your completed template. So it's just like what you would normally do for anything else where you upload a file. Then once you press continue and follow the final steps to complete your submission, that'll be it. So you fill out your spreadsheet and then upload it. There's no other questions that you need to answer. You've already answered them all through your grant monitoring form. And then that data will come into us, and it'll be up to us to process the data and pay you. So that is the quick run through of the two-step process. So now we're going to move on to the Q&A.
Hello. Yeah, we've got a few comments in the bar, so I'll just try and go through them by most upvoted, although there's not too many. So I'm hoping we'll be able to get through them all. You've answered this a little bit in the chat, Molly, but there's a question about not being informed about reporting uptake using UPNs and that this will be a much longer job than previously anticipated.
Yeah, and it's really helpful feedback. As you know, this is very much a test and learn scheme. It's equally about how the program runs in your schools as it is about how we deliver the program. And it's really helpful feedback. So thank you for giving that to us. We do hope you do have until July 4th to submit the data. So if you do need a bit more time, you don't have to get it in all next week. So next week is where you record it, and then you do have 3 weeks to process the data and submit it. So we hope you do that. That does give you time, but that is really useful feedback. Thank you, and we'll take it on board.
Thank you. And the next question is asking for the forms and link to be emailed to the school.
Yes. So if you haven't, so what we've sent out so far, and then we can pop in the chat again, as well as send out on Monday, is the template form, the template spreadsheet, as well as the data collection guidance. On June 16th, you will get the links to the grant monitoring form and the form to upload your spreadsheet. So those aren't quite ready yet, and we don't want to open them until the reporting week is over. So once that happens on June 16th, please look out for those emails. If by June 17th you have not received those, please do be in touch with us through the early adopters mailbox email address, and we will share them with you.
Thank you. And the next question is, if grab and go children arrive 30 minutes before the school, can this still be recorded?
So the answer is that if a child is not taking part in the breakfast club, no, if they are just receiving breakfast, but they're not receiving any childcare or that soft start to the school day, they should not be included. But if a child is coming for your breakfast club, you should be recording anybody who you have judged to arrive on time to benefit from that soft start to a school day.
Thank you. And I think you have answered this in the comments, but I'll just ask it here again because I had a couple of questions on this. When can schools expect the initial payment to come through, as they were expecting it now already?
Yes, if you have not yet received your upfront payment, so that is your £500 startup grant, as well as your £1,099 upfront payment, you should, if you're a local LA maintained school, you should contact your local authority, who are the ones processing the payments. Or if you are an academy, you should contact your MATS finance team, and they will process the payment for you.
Molly. And the next question is, please can you clarify why grab and go cannot be funded? Grab and go is suggested as part of the preparation document as a suitable option for larger clubs.
So grab and go is not funded as part of this scheme, and that is set out in our minimum requirements of the program. So the minimum requirements of the program of the scheme is that your breakfast club is 30 minutes breakfast club, so food and childcare accessible to all. And the reason for that is previously, as I said before, was that this is not just about food, this is also about easing the financial burden on families on childcare before the start of the school day. As well, we know that breakfast clubs can have really big important impacts on attendance, on social skills, on well-being, and on attainment. And so it's about giving all pupils access to that soft start that sets them up for the day.
Perfect, thank you. The next question is, and potentially we might get Jane in, who's on the call, to answer this, as I think it might be a more technical question about accessing the form, but the question is, will access to the reporting option be automatic? Will access to the reporting option be automatically accessible, or will we need to request access from approvers?
Hiya. I've just put an answer on the chat, but in essence, you need to make sure that you've got a DFE sign-in account. If you've already got a DFE sign-in account, which many schools do, you will be able to just follow the link to the form and log straight in using your existing DFE sign-in account. If you don't have one of those accounts, I've put a link in the chat underneath that comment to take you to a page where you can create a DFE sign-in account. And in that creation of that account, you will need to get approval from that senior person at your organisation, such as the head teacher or admin manager, that can approve that setup of your account for you. There's another step in setting up DFE sign-in, which is to make sure that your individual account is attached to your school. Once you've done those two parts, you will then be able to access the form. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thanks, Jane. The next question is, how do we distinguish from the UPNs we list who are FSM and SEN?
You don't need to do that. We'll do that for you. We have that information, so you just need to list who in your spreadsheet, the UPNs of all of the pupils, and then we are able to link it up on our back end. If you're referring to in the grant reporting form, where you do need to say how many pupils with eligible free school meals or SEND attended, you can you should be able to access that information of who is who through your management information systems and see which children are eligible for free school meals or have SEND support or EHCP. But in the spreadsheet, you do not need to distinguish between them.
Great, thanks, Molly. And another question kind of related is asking, will UPNs be used each time moving forward?
Yes, so for the remainder of the early adopter scheme, we will be asking you to report the UPNs of the pupils that attend each day during the 1 week census window. And then again, like I said, part of the early adopter scheme is all about understanding how we improve processes for rolling out nationally. So we are absolutely looking at what we can do to ease the burden going forward.
Great, thank you. Sorry, I'm just making sure I'm trying to get through all the questions as new ones are coming in. So another question is, will we be penalised if we don't fully follow food standards for schools?
So the school food standards, they are compulsory for all schools to meet, and it is part of your grant conditions that you are serving food as part of your compliant with the school food standards. As part of your breakfast club, you are asked to, as part of the form, to certify that you are. If you have any concerns about this and are worried that you might not be or think you need help, please let us know. And we have advisors that can work with you and support you to be offering and ensuring that you're offering food that is compliant with the school food standards.
Great, thanks, Molly. So a couple more questions on, I guess, the definition of grab and go and whether it's counts for the funding purposes. One on if parents leave and staff monitor them on the playground, then can they be counted if this is for 30 minutes? And there's one more which I'm just trying to find.
So I think
sorry.
Maybe with this, there's some confusion about, and apologies, what we mean about grab and go. So in my example that I was giving, what I mean is a child who shows up when the bell rings. So say your school starts at 9 a.m. The child shows up at 9 a.m. and they are handed a piece of toast and they eat that in their classroom. That would be what we would call grab and go because they're not accessing a breakfast club. If, as part of your breakfast club model, 30 minutes before the start of the school day, you hand out your breakfast, your piece of toast, your toast, fruit, whatever it might be, in one location of the school, say a school hall, and the children then are allowed to go to other locations outside, to classrooms, and have that 30 minutes of childcare and that soft start to the day, that is a model you can absolutely do. So if it's part of your model, the children come in, get their breakfast, and go outside and play, yes, as long as that is 30 minutes before the start of the school day.
Thanks, Molly. Hopefully that clears things up, but if people do still have more questions, please continue to post them in the Q&A box. Another question which was on when will we receive the payment after numbers have been reported?
Yeah, you will receive that payment in November. So it'll be processed over the summer and then it will come out in the autumn term.
Okay, great. Sorry, I think almost all the questions. There's just been a recent one on would it be possible for DFE to publish or provide a suitable example menu for all schools and
Yes,
suppliers as well?
In the guidance, we have listed out example breakfast items that are compliant with the school food standards, and we also have further examples in the blueprint, the Breakfast Club blueprint, which I really encourage you to look at if you have not already. But if you feel like you need more information, that's really helpful and really useful information, and we can certainly work to develop up further examples. I've seen some really excellent examples from some schools of menus that they've developed each week, and we are keen to share those examples around. And if you also, if you go to your peer-to-peer groups, that's exactly also what those sessions are meant to be for. If you're not quite sure what to serve or you don't really know, definitely ask the others in your peer-to-peer groups, and they might have some really brilliant examples that we might not even think of.
Great, thanks, Molly. A question on kind of the technicalities of filling out the pupil level spreadsheet. Am I adding a column to the document or adding the UPN to each day?
You do not need to add a column. So there is a column per day, and you are adding the UPNs in each row in that column. So you don't need to add anything, just fill in those 5 columns that already exist with the UPNs in each row, 1 UPN per row.
Great, thanks, Molly. We've also included what this might look like as well when we send the guidance out to you, so hopefully that will be clear. I think that's all the questions that have been asked that I can see. And I guess we've got 2 minutes left, so we can probably leave it there.
Well, we've timed it perfectly.
One last question.
One last one. Okay, great.
This is the last one. When will you be speaking to grocers so that they lift the cap on the number of items that we can buy in bulk?
That's a good question. So we that is something that we are exploring and looking at and how we can make it easier for schools to be ordering items. We are aware that this is an issue for some schools and are working through potential solutions. We'll hopefully be able to say more shortly.
Great, thank you.
So shall we close it there then? So we will thank you very much, everybody, for taking the time to speak with us. Just to recap the key dates, from the 9th to 13th of June, unless previously agreed with us, please record how many and which pupils attend the Free Universal Breakfast Club each day. On June 16th, you will receive an email with links to the grant monitoring form and the pupil level form open for submissions. Then on July 4th is when the grant monitoring form and pupil level form close for submissions. So remember, without this information, we cannot pay you for your club. And if you encounter any issues, please contact us. And we've shared the guidance in the chat as well as on email yesterday, and we'll be able to share it again with a recording of the webinar next week. Thanks very much, everybody.